Well, thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigeria newspapers. And I begin with the blueprint. The major story here, COP28 delegates controversy. Federal government funded only 422 people to Dubai. Minister clarifies, says Tinubu other officials in Dubai for serious business, not jamboree. And we hope that this settles the dust raised by the controversy where information was put out that over 1,400 persons were sponsored by the federal government. By the moment, the government has said just 422 persons were funded by the federal government. All right, to other stories. We've made bold decisions to change Nigeria's economic fortunes, as Vice President Kashim Shettima is saying. And federal government to generate 298.4 billion naira from sales, concession of NIPPS, other assets. And another one here, Ohaneze Youth begged Tinubu to release Emefiele, urges diligent prosecution. And local government funds, APC alleges plot to protest against Tinubu, SGF Akpabio. Killing of 31 Tundumbiri residents, we mistook villagers for terrorists. That's what the army is saying. All right, you find all the details of these stories on the front page of the blueprint. We'll move now to the front page of the Business AM. COP28 sets goal to boost clean energy, phase out fossil fuels. COP28 set goals to boost clean energy, phase out fossil fuels. All the details of that story on the front page of the Business AM. And to the Nigerian Tribune. The story, Kaduna government army admits error as airstrike kills scores in village over 80 civilians killed during Maulud Nabi celebration. Residents claim Kaduna governor does probe. And pandemonium as DSS NSCDC clash at Edo Hospital. UK introduces stricter visa measures to curb immigration. Federal government says 422, not 1,411 delegates sponsored to COP28 summit. Nigeria loses $10 billion annually for importing welders. Those are some of the stories you find on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. We'll move quickly now to the Daily Trust. Army drone kills dozens of Maulud celebrants in Kaduna. Second bomb killed more people during rescue, survivors are saying. We buried 94, some mutilated, conveyed 66 to hospitals. Residents saying that, and the pictures there showing some of the victims in the hospital, or survivors rather, in the hospital. There, a majority of them children. And then there's an infograph here of a number of people killed in military airstrikes in 9 years. All right, details of all of these stories on the front page of the Daily Trust. We move now to the Nigerian News Direct. Mixed reactions as accidental bomb kills, injures many in Kaduna community. Air Force denies involvement. Army has explained itself, claimed responsibility, Kaduna government is saying. And another story at the downstrip, robbery attack, Gateway police shuts down amid security concerns. And Sanwo-Olu signs trade agreement with Arabian Gulf Commerce Chamber. I believe that's the picture depicted there. Stock market plummets with investors losing 258.85 billion naira. Some of the stories you find on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. To the Daily Times now, outrage over killing of 30 villagers in Kaduna by the military. We did it, was a mistake, admits army. Amnesty International. Nigerians angry over senseless waste of innocent lives, call for heads to roll. And there are those waiting for a statement from the president with regards to this incident that happened on Sunday in Kaduna. Now, food security, about 50 million hectares of arable land uncultivated, says Agric Minister. Federal government assuaged fear of Adamawa Taraba residents over low-flying aircraft. And these are some of the stories you find on the front page of the Daily Times. Finally with me is the Punch newspaper. Outrage as warplane kills 85 in Kaduna village bombing. Villagers lament bombing during Mulud celebration. Deputy Governor begs Islamic clerics. CAN, as a Christian Association of Nigeria, AI, others condemn airstrike. Accidental bombings kill 425 citizens since 2017. And collapsed bridge making life unbearable, Lagos community laments. And that's a picture of the said bridge, the state of the said bridge, and how people are commuting through in that community. Now, family panics as 13-year-old schoolgirl disappears in Lagos. Another story at the top corner here, cash shortage hits banks, customers rush for BVN in revalidation. All right, some of the stories you find on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Kim.
On the Daily Independent and the other papers before me, the controversial bombing by the military is, of course, gaining traction as we see so far. We'll just skip that and go to other stories that made it to the front page. On Daily Independent, that's here. NNPP backs court ruling say Kano government not registered member. The Emefiele issue, of course, he remains in custody. Nigerians in the U.S. raise alarm over human rights violations by Tinubu's government. Regarding registration of underage voters, court gives INEC 90 days to hand over officials for prosecution, asks it to remove underage voters from register within 90 days. And from the ongoing COP28, Lagos secures financing deals for 2 waste conversion projects. FG settles 52 million naira fines and compensation for 399 inmates in Kaduna. Of course, this is an ongoing initiative to decongest the correctional facilities in Nigeria. And on this Nigeria, Lagos, on the AGF says delayed release of funds affect 2023 budget performance. Nigeria's trade surplus hits 1.9 trillion naira in the third quarter of the year. And NLC meets to work out minimum wage commensurate with prevailing cost of living. Regarding brain drain that we have been talking about for a while, resident doctors advocate overhaul of Nigeria's health system. The Nation is next. Government orders probe after airstrikes killed civilians. That's also, a very, very topical issue and causing a lot of outrage across the country and beyond. Labor to negotiate minimum wage commensurate with cost of living. Emefiele seeks variation of bail condition. And Abbas, regarding the 2024 budget hearing, the Speaker of the House of Representatives says why Nigeria should participate in process. Leadership is next. Bank limit withdrawals to 10,000 naira as cash scarcity bites harder. Justice Minister pushes for non-custodial sentencing. Trial of Boko Haram terrorists resume. Federal government takes over completed second Niger bridge. And regarding the Gaza-Israel war, the Israeli nation intensifies ground operations. And still in Nigeria, 38 abducted varsity students still with parents. That's an urgent plea by the affected parents to the relevant security agencies. First news now. Kaduna orders investigation of bomb attack on community ahead of the Edo 2024 governorship race. We are not zoning. That's according to the APC. Tinubu faces fresh legal battle at the Supreme Court, says First News. Benue defies National Assembly, confirms caretaker committees, government officials signing documents in Akeredolu's name. That's an allegation by a senior lawyer there. Meanwhile, probe alleged forgery of Akeredolu's signature. The same lawyer urges the Ondo government. The Guardian now. Kano, Sokoto, others spent 53.2 billion naira on scholarships abroad. This despite 4 million out of school children in these affected areas. And there's a protest also growing in the University of Calabar over what's been called the 100% hike in fees and levies. Police in Rivers detained 4 officers over kidnap of hotel staff. And over 80 dead as Army admits error in 10th accidental bombing in 2 years. Voice of Liberty reports on what it calls the relief for taxpayers as the Federal Inland Revenue Service approves full conditional waiver on outstanding liabilities. All right, we'll just move on from that. Business Day, Port Harcourt Refinery, December deadline heaps pressure on the NNPCL. The company insists, though, we will deliver as promised. In the meantime, Nigeria's trade surplus hit 5-year high on weaker naira. And Peter Obi of the Labour Party insists 2024 budget is prodigal, lays 15 billion naira for the VP's new residence. Finally, Salient Times this Tuesday, there's a report as the main story saying more Nigerians resort to betting loans amid hardship. Now, family members chain starve man to death in Nasarawa over alleged witchcraft, and court convicts sentences for Boko Haram financiers. Right? These are some of the stories in the papers this morning.
Right, and the story dominating the papers this morning is the incident from Kaduna, where the army has taken responsibility for the incident where their drone killed a dozen of Mulud celebrants in the state, and there's been divergent reactions with regards to that, even though the governor has called for a probe into the matter. There are those who want to hear response of the president speak with regards to this. If heads we roll, as some have often said in recent times, if there will be those held responsible for this incident. And if you look at the front page of the Daily Trust, there's an infographic on the number of persons killed in military aircraft strikes in 9 years. And this is an infographic from 2014 to 2023. Quite a number of persons there. What has been done with regards to accountability? That's the question on the lips of some Nigerians, Kemi.
It's such a shame, especially since there was an initial denial by the army.
The Air Force.
Right, by the armed forces, the Air Force in particular, because this was a bomb that, dropped from the sky, basically, and of course, the Army and the Air Force. Of course, there is also a claim of responsibility by the Army for bombing the innocent Kaduna villagers, and of course, but then it appears to be a collective responsibility, and you understand that the government has gone on to order a probe into the matter, but it's from what I see, information is still, really sketchy at the moment. The army or the armed forces are saying now that they were in the midst of an operation against terrorists, and then it happened. What happened. But then this is one too many. Even if it is one life that was lost, it still will spark outrage. And, when you look at the number affected and who these people represent, the families that they came from, the children that will more or less be orphans, and be affected by all of this, this is horrendous, and answers are needed quickly and urgently.
Absolutely. A majority of the persons affected are said to be children, and then those who now decided to go rescue persons affected by this incident after the first strike were said to have been affected by the second strike when the military was carrying out this routine raid, so to speak. Unfortunately, we hear that over 80 persons died, even though there are conflicting reports with regards to the number of persons that were affected in that incident. But quite a number are in the hospitals receiving treatment who are survivors right now, and the majority of them are children as well. We hope that we get more answers as the event unfolds with regards to this, that the probe will fish out those truly involved and then brought to book at the end of the day. We'll leave this conversation here now.